Hello, my name is Greg Greeners at Care at Scale podcast, and I have the wonderful opportunity today to speak to another guest by the name of Cheryl Meyer. I will get into her story in a little bit, but she has her own business now that has been brought about by some pretty life changing events, and that would be called the Cheryl Health Muse. Boy, does she have some stories behind that. So, welcome, Cheryl.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's going to be my pleasure because as we start to get through the numerous publishings and books and cookbooks and all the other medias you're using to help people because of something that happened very significant in your life, that is where we're going to start because this is Cheryl's story. That's the name of the podcast. And as she talks to what really was a transactional moment in her life that changed everything, I wanted to hear directly from her. So, without much more, Cheryl, there was a pretty significant life altering moment, and it really started with your health. Can you start to explain a little
Yeah,
bit of that?
I had my own business. I was a jeweler. I was manufacturing in Asia, and all my customers were the big bucks customers on the East Coast. So I was working like crazy to be successful, doing everything except take care of me. So I have a joke that when the universe wants me to get something, first it pokes me in the arm. If I still ignore it, I get the NCIS slap. And if I still am not paying attention, the 2x4 comes down. Well,
Wow.
I woke up one morning and I could not move. I had so much pain. Every joint and every muscle in my body hurt. And I thought, what is this? Do I have the flu? So 4 days later, I was no better. So I started going to the doctor and we ran 5 different days of tests for her to come back and say, guess what? There's nothing wrong with you. I said, that's ludicrous. I can't function. Everything hurts. She said, well, I'm going to give you steroids. I said, why would I take steroids if there's nothing wrong with me? We're not going there. I
Hmm.
said, you know what? I'm going to research. I'm going to find it. Thank you very much. And I had no clue what I was looking for. But I got on the computer and I swear the universe's hand was still on my back. It dropped me right when functional medicine was starting. And at the time, there were 20 different symposiums running with multiple doctors talking about their history. And all of them had either gotten sick themselves and could not help themselves, or they had someone they loved get very sick and they couldn't help them. So I listened to a couple hundred different people talking about this new area of conventional medicine called functional and started writing notes. And it made sense to me. The first thing they started talking about was we needed to be eating more fruits and vegetables. So I wrote down I needed to change my diet. It was sort of like I could have had a V8.
Mm.
It was very logical. And because of how fast I was living, I would get home and I would eat fast food and junk food and processed food as fast as I'd been working all day. So I hadn't been giving my body any nutrition. So that's where I started. The second thing I wrote down was toxic load. I thought, okay, what the heck is toxic load?
Yeah.
So I dug in and I discovered I literally was living in a toxic soup. I started looking up everything in my life from the foods to my cosmetics and my personal care products, to my cleaning products, to my pots and pans, to my water, everything. And everything was loaded with poison. And I really got upset. Why was my government poisoning me? And then it occurred to me I could control what I put in my body. So I started eliminating one by one everything that I found was toxic and replacing it with something much lower in poison. And so those were the two places I started. The third place I started to pay attention to, I had learned that my cortisol had spiked because I was always being chased by a tiger 24/7, and then it had dropped down to nothing so that I was borderline Addison's disease. So I knew I had to learn what to do about my stress. So I started taking a Tao yoga class in town
Hmm.
and learn how to do breathing and to get my stress level at least under control. And then I started researching what was I going to do to rebuild my cortisol so I could function normally. So those were my three areas that I started. At the time, I was also in a relationship with someone for 10 years who refused to change. He wasn't going to let me dictate how he was going to eat. And I had already figured out pretty much I was going to change or I was going to stay in bed for the rest of my life. So, on top of everything else, I went through the stress of breaking up with him. I had heard a woman on the radio in Los Angeles called Allison Armstrong. She caught my attention because she said she kept kissing princes and turning them into frogs. And I thought, you know something? I was 63. I'm obviously not very good at this relationship stuff that he wouldn't change for me. So I signed up to take 2 weekends of classes with her. And when I walked in, she said, I'm going to tell you exactly what's wrong. You are trying to make them happy. You're not paying attention to what you need. I want a non negotiable, this is what you want in your life list when you come back next weekend, which I did. And I posted on a website that was national. And the guy who answered lived 10 minutes away from me. And my headline was, I was looking for someone to go on a get well journey with me. And he immediately said, let's just go to telephone. We're so close. He said he had just lost his wife of 43 years to cancer. He said, I've been the caretaker for 5 years. I've gained a ton of weight. I need to go on a get well journey. Let's start there and see if that works. And he loved to cook. So did I. So we started cooking together every night. We started walking together. So having someone to do this all with was a huge boost to my returning to wellness. It took me 5 years to eliminate every toxin I could find.
5 years.
But by the time 5 years was over, I was feeling pretty darn good again. And so it occurred to me that everybody should know this. So I started having conversations with women at the grocery store and people in the dental office because nobody knew, everybody was looking for the magic pill. Lots of people that I was running into felt lousy, but there isn't a magic pill. You're the magic pill, and you have to own it or it's not going to change. So I decided Number one, I was going to find my own functional doctor, and I'll explain what the difference is between functional and conventional,
Mhm.
which I did. I traveled an hour and a half in LA to go see her, but she was worth every minute of it because there weren't very many of them back then. But the difference in a functional doctor is that they look at the whole body. A conventional doctor will say, ooh, you have muscle pain. Here's a pill for that. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted somebody who was going to find out what was the root cause of all the inflammation that I was struggling with that had interrupted my life so significantly. And so she's the one who took me the rest of the way home. The first thing she did is give me a sensitivity test, and I had 19 of them. And by eliminating all of those mostly foods, it was like, Mother May I, can I take a giant step? Because that was the next big move away from pain. And they were things that I would never have dreamt of. A lot of them were herbs. I was sensitive to chicken because I went through a phase where we weren't supposed to eat red meat. So I was eating chicken every night. And the way you get a sensitivity is it all starts in your gut. And there's something called leaky gut. That was another term I wrote down to investigate. So if you're not eating the right food or your body can't digest it, it starts pushing up against your stomach wall, and your stomach wall is thin like tissue paper. And so it makes a little hole in your stomach wall, which is what leaky gut is. And then these food items are the wrong size, they go into your blood and your body does exactly what it's supposed to do and it screams foreigner. And then your body does even something weirder. It attacks you wherever you are the weakest. So the first place it attacked me were my muscles and my joints. And I didn't find out until 5 years later that that was fibromyalgia because functional medicine doesn't care what it's called. They want you to heal the root cause areas so that you lower your inflammation and then your whole body can start to heal. Ended up, I had 3 autoimmune diseases. I didn't just have one. Because if you don't help your body survive what was going wrong, it starts to accumulate other problems. So I also got Hashimoto's, which is autoimmune disease of the thyroid. I
Mhm.
had IBS, which is autoimmune disease of your lower intestine. I had type 2 diabetes that my doctor had missed altogether. And it was like off the chart. And then About a year into working with my functional doctor, by accident, I went to go get a scan done and discovered I had a fatty liver. So today, they're all gone. I
Wow.
have no inflammation, and by changing all my lifestyle habits, I was able to heal my body from the inside out. One of the people I started studying was Dr. Bruce Lipton, who is the master of epigenetics. And what he discovered is that we all think that what we get is in our genetics. And all that is, we do inherit a roadmap in our DNA, but our lifestyle habits and our environment either turn those things on or leave them off. So as you begin to change each of your lifestyle habits, you start to turn off that part of what's going wrong with your body. So food was huge. I started studying a woman named Dr. Deanna Minich, who is the queen of Eat the Rainbow. And every single food comes in a variety of colors, and it ends up we need the whole spectrum because they get together and they party in your body to create health. And they have something called phytonutrients in them that aren't there for us. They're there for the plant so that it won't make so a deer won't eat it or something won't go wrong with it. But they have all these gifts for us. So the key is to start to eat as close to the farm as possible, every color that's available. And that is the thing that you start to build your strong house with. I often will tell my students the story of the three pigs. Do you want a house that's straw? Do you want a house that sticks? Or do you want the brick house? If you're not eating real food of all the colors of the rainbow, you are not developing the brick house. And so
So
your
there
body has nothing to function on.
there's the full circle moment. And that's really what I want, thank you for explaining so much of that story because you're not alone. There's tens of hundreds of thousands of people that have that story, let alone the stress of work, of life, but then to be so far down a path that they're unable to pull themselves out of. Modern medicine will just come in
And
with
modern medicine doesn't understand it because it really isn't a pill issue. I'm not anti-pills. I think everyone should take whatever their doctor recommends, but they make a deal with the doctor that they'll take the pill until they can change their lifestyle habits enough that they no longer need that pill. And before I take any pill, I look it up and find out what's it doing to me on the other end because they have gifts and they take away. And so it's not just the food. It ends up it was getting 7 hours of sleep. The sixth to seventh hour is when it sweeps all the plaque out of your brain. And if you think when you're sleeping, your body is sleeping, you're wrong. Your body does an entire tune up while you're sleeping. So you really need that full 7 hours. It means moving your body so that your body can function properly. It means just really paying attention to every stress. Stress interrupts absolutely every function in your body.
well, you actually sent through to me the 20 pillars of health, and those 2 items were certainly on there, sleep and stress and so on. And I just people get into a situation where each of those pillars, they just get knocked down time and time and time again. I mean, what you're suggesting on how people should take care of their bodies should be natural, but somewhere it gets very broken along the way, which you explained was probably on a plane going from east to west coast to Asia for your business, but it happens to everyone. And now you understand the 20 pillars of health and
Right. And
what
they're and you can't do them all at once. You give yourself grace while you're putting them in place. Start with food because your mitochondria, which are your little energy packs in the middle of every cell, really need all of those phytonutrients so that you can function properly. Your brain needs it. Ultra-processed food has nothing in it for your body to function on. It's all fake. So even if you're getting fake vitamins and minerals, they can't work with each other because they don't have all the components to have that little party that I want you to have in your body so that you can get well. And the big problem with ultra-processed food is it removes all the fiber. And fiber is incredibly important to getting all of this delivered all over your body. What you have is a vagal nerve in your gut, and your vagal nerve is the superhighway to your body. and your gut will take the food, the real food that has the fiber in it. It takes the phytonutrients out of it. The phytonutrients jump on the fiber, go over to your vagal nerve, and your vagal nerve starts to deliver it everywhere you need it in order to function. And it even ultra processed food turns off two hormones I never even knew existed called ghrelin and leptin, which are what tells your brain that you're full. So I was 80 pounds heavier because I was always hungry. So I was always eating because my two hormones, ghrelin and leptin, didn't function. But it also turns off all your happy hormones. So by getting all your phytonutrients to jump on that fiber, go over to your vagal nerve and go up to your brain, it turns on your dopamine, which is pleasure, and your serotonin, which is happiness, and your oxytocin, which is caring and compassion and bonding, and then GABA, which is anxiety. And you need that real food so that you feel like $1,000,000 when you get out of bed in the morning. I am happy the minute my feet hit the floor because I eat so well. It has changed my entire life.
Well, I when we first met and you were telling me the story, that was one of the first things you had said is that you're healthier, you're happier, you're in a better place than you were at your age now than most all the other previous years. And it's
Yeah, I'm now 76
wow.
and I feel better than I did in my 50s. And that man that I met by posting my non-negotiable list became my husband 11 years ago. And he has also lost a ton of weight and improved his health dramatically. So we're on this journey together, and it's really been an exciting thing. And I'm the creative person and he's the technical guy. So I research like crazy and write. I was a lit major at Berkeley. And then he takes what I write and he is now putting it all into an AI program so that 15 years of research is going to get dumped into my database so that you can actually go to it and learn who did I follow, what did I learn, and how could it help you by putting your questions into my AI database. But I have 7 books.
I was just gonna say, so there is a lot of research that you've done to get to the point of being able to put all of that data and information into the AI side of it. And you have written a number of books and which for now you have great opportunity to get out to many via Amazon and digital media.
And my real goal is to help people get well because it's starting to change. It's starting to be a little more common that what I did works. But when I started this in the beginning, people used to ask me where the double-sided blind test was that proved the food was good for you. They didn't want to believe it. They really wanted the magic pill and they wanted the cheapness of ultra processed food and the convenience of it. It does not take that long to cook.
You have a quote that says, "If your great 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 grandmother didn't eat it, you probably shouldn't eat it either."
No, you shouldn't. And my mother did cook. I actually learned to cook and I moved away from it because my lifestyle became so fast. So, and the other thing I've learned is you want to buy it as local as possible. Things like spinach lose 30% of their goodies within 3 days. So if you can get it from the farm, number one, you can talk to the farmer about did they use all the poison to grow it in the first place that all our factory farms are doing? I don't want those poisons in my body. They were part of my toxic load and I'm not going back there. And so you talk to them, you buy it that was just picked the night before, and then you go home and you cook it and you get it in your body. And I can almost feel it go through my body and give me energy and happiness and health.
And you speak to that in Eating the Rainbow. As you move down the other self-love portion of what you're trying to get out to so many others that work for you as well, and that's one of the key parts is eating real food.
Right. Well, I started looking into self love because when I work with clients, if number one, they don't believe that they can do it, they won't. If they don't believe they're going to get well, they won't. I'm working with someone with MS right now, and his neurologist keeps telling him he's going to progressively get worse. And we just had a conversation that his job is to go talk to that guy that he never wanted to hear that come out of his mouth ever again because he can get well. There's actually a very famous functional doctor who was so sick, they gave her 1 month to live and she had two small children. So she started sending the kids to the University of Iowa library and bringing her books. And she wrote an entire protocol that she has healed hundreds and hundreds of people with of MS. You can do it. The information is out there and available to you, but it's got to start with you have to love yourself enough that you're important enough to add all the lifestyle habits into your life and to cook and to eat real food. And then you have to believe it can happen and you have to own it.
You have a, picture that you sent through to me of the different colors that percentage of what people don't eat enough of, whether it be the red, the purples, the green, the whites, and yellows. Each one of those categories really speaks to what it can do for your health and the
Right.
direct
And
health.
the magic is that when they get together, they create the entire picture. There's a synergy that happens. But each color has a different function in your body. Your reds are what grounds you. It's all your basic needs. And so you need to have that in place so that your body functions properly. Next up is orange. And orange is where your hormones are, whether you're male or female. So ultra processed food is turning all your hormones off. So your body can't function properly. Next up is yellow. Yellow is your gut. It's sunshine. It's happiness because your serotonin is partly made in your gut and partly in your brain. And that's where your vagal nerve is. So you need to have a healthy gut so that everything else functions and your happiness makes you keep going and helps feed your self love to do it. Green is next up. Green is your heart. Without our heart, we don't function very well. And there is new research on the heart that there are as many neurons in the heart as there are in the brain. So not only the brain is where the ego lives, and it doesn't like to change. So it's going to want to maintain the status quo. But your heart is where love and compassion and self love and gratitude and all of that lives. And so you need a healthy heart, not only to pump so that your blood circulates properly in your body, but you need it because that's where you communicate with whatever you call the universe. And that's what allows you to pull all the good things that you want into your life. So that's the green. Next is your throat, which is kind of a turquoise color, and that's your truth. You want to be able to speak your truth, be authentic, and you have to feed that. And what you feed that with are sea vegetables. So I am still looking for ways to get more sea vegetables into my life. But I wasn't good at speaking my truth and being authentic. I was a people pleaser. So it helps you create boundaries so that when you have the self love, you can create the boundaries to take care of you first because if you don't love yourself, you don't have your cup full to feed everything else. Then you go up to your third eye, which is where the purples live and the blues, which are foods like blueberries and blackberries and all of that. Well, that's you need that. That's what feeds your soul, it feeds your brain. And then the last one is white, which is what is spirit. So you need them all. And interestingly enough, they all coordinate with your natural energy centers in your body, which are called chakras. And by eating the different colors, they also bring all your chakras into balance so that your body can function as one.
Well, that was an excellent explanation of going through the colors and let alone the rainbow that's associated with it, because one of the things you really keep harping back on is the need to participate with all of the colors and not just
Right.
uniquely ones that you really like.
No, no, you need to eat them all, and it's important, and it's not hard to do. I had a client challenge me, "What am I supposed to cook?" "Okay, I'll get in the kitchen, but what do I make?" So every day on Facebook, I post a recipe called From My Rainbow Files, and I talk it's not my recipe, I didn't write it, but what I tell you is how to source all the ingredients in the recipe so that you get the healthiest possible way to make it, and I'll talk about the different colors. I'll talk about the different gifts. Sometimes I'll talk about the vitamins and the minerals that are in those foods. Like cucumber does 12 different things to help your body function well, starting with the skin, which is where the vitamin K is, which is for your bones. But I share that all when I post my recipes. And I actually created a cookbook with a whole year's worth of From My Rainbow Files recipes that is on a PDF file so it can be searched. so that if you buy something purple and you go, "What am I gonna do with it?" You can search that vegetable or that fruit, and a whole bunch of recipes will show up in my cook.
No, the cookbook, I was flipping through some of the pages on it, and you did spend a lot of research to show people how you can get all the different colors and how they can eat every day and be successful at it. And that is, in some ways, seems difficult, but the reality is, once you get into the practice of it, you've now moved into a new lifestyle, which is really the objective for sure.
Right. And there are toxins in places you would never imagine. Your water is probably one of them. We started off with a Brita. So that's the least expensive way to filter your water.
Hmm.
We then went to an under the sink water filter from Aquasana, and they'll actually take your zip code and tell you what you need so that the water that I drank and the water that I cooked with got all the nasties out of it. You can get a water report from your water department and see what's in your water, and it's pretty icky. So I live now in Arizona in the Sedona area. We are loaded with arsenic. So obviously, I don't want to be drinking or cooking with that, or even having the shower water coming down on me with that. So we went to then an under the sink water filter. Now we have a full house water filter, and my drinking water is reverse osmosis where they take everything out of it and then put back all the needed minerals that we need. So that's all part of health. And you need to make sure that you know what you're doing. And you don't want to be drinking that water out of plastic bottles. Plastic is a forever chemical. It goes into your body and it creates ill health. And it not only is leaching plastic into the bottle, but there's little micro bubbles of plastic that go into those bottles. And you're paying 1,200 times more for that water than if you would put the filtered water system into your house. So it's really important that you take care of your water and you need a lot of water.
Yes, you.
I try to drink about 60 ounces of water a day so that my body gets bathed in water. Every cell needs the water. So having quality water going into your body is crucial to your brain as well as the rest of your body.
Well, that is a really good segue into what you're working on right now, which is the Ask the Health Muse AI app. If you're able to provide as much research and literature and your books and whatever else into that app, I would imagine that coming out the other side of the output from this app is going to provide insight to each individual.
And it's the easiest way to get all the research that I have out to people. I wrote a course that's 12 different chapters that I put a loyal group through, and they went, too much information. It's everything you ever wanted to know about food but didn't know who to ask. Right down to how many toxins are on each food that you buy and what do they do? Do they kill the bees? Are they killing your brain? Are they neurotoxins? Are they killing your cells? Down to what are the minerals? What are the phytonutrients? How do you cook it? How do you store it? Everything you ever wanted to know about food is in this course. But the best way that I can get it out is to have you say, okay, I have a cucumber here. What do I need to know about the cucumber? And have everything that's in that course about the cucumber come up for you so that you can learn at your pace and not have to sit through hours of a class with me to learn it all.
And that's
I
part of
love to research,
yeah,
so
that's
I have
part of
found
the
things
point of
that
purchase.
nobody knows.
That they're going to want to be able to see and learn for themselves, because until you adapt to do it yourself, it will never be nearly as effective, because if you're being told what to do and don't want to listen.
And there are lots of different ways to add each lifestyle habit to your body. For stress, I found it takes 4 minutes. I do it twice a day. It's an easy breathing routine by Dr. Andrew Weil, who was the man who created integrative medicine in this country and has trained hundreds of doctors in that. Well, it's a simple breathing exercise that resets your parasympathetic nervous system and lets all the toxic stress go from your body. So each lifestyle habit has a variety of different ways that you can add it. So you're not going to get bored and you're going to feel like the more you do it and you start feeling great, the easier it is to keep doing them. I even have a whole health magazine where I talk about how do I go to a restaurant? Because when I started this, I was eating different than everybody in my life. So how do I vet a restaurant? Literally, I don't walk into a restaurant until I call the chef and find out whether he can feed me. And then often they'll come out to meet me because they find me so amusing and they've put something together that I can eat. But there are all kinds of tricks that you can learn so that you can maintain this lifestyle. In the beginning, my friends all thought I was crazy. Then they started watching me lose 80 pounds and they all wanted some of what I had. So it really became fun to invite everyone over for dinner and have them go, "Whoa, this is healthy. This is delicious." And now all my friends have moved towards me so that now there's a whole community of us who are maintaining healthy lifestyles.
Well, I think that is probably a point that we can more or less end this segment of our podcast. You're obviously very passionate about all of this because it has changed your life, and we didn't even talk about other people's whose lives you've changed. You just mentioned some friends that come around, but you haven't even started in on the stories. I'm sure each of them has their own story of how their life brought them into the situation they are, which now as they're reflecting on you, they say, "Huh, well, maybe there's an opportunity to listen better."
I even have podcasts on my YouTube channel where half of my podcasts were where I would deep dive into something that I had to learn to help my body. And then I started interviewing other people with chronic illness who had done the same thing I did. They learned how to change their lives through lifestyle habits and they all returned to wellness. So it doesn't matter if it's cancer, which has the same core problems, or if it was MS or lupus or all kinds of wackamania autoimmune diseases that people get. If you own it and you start to change to the habits that I recommend, you can impact your body to return to wellness. And you need to know that up front.
Well, speaking of those places that they can go and find that information, your website, I certainly went and looked at a lot of different resources there. And where else can they go to listen
My
to?
first 2 books are on Amazon. Combined, they won 24 awards. The first book is a step-by-step what I did to get well. I had no clue what I was looking for, so it's written by a layman, and at the back of that book are all of the functional people that to this day I follow, that I have learned from, so it will give you a bibliography of where to go for information other than just me and learn where I learned all of this stuff from. The second book, my functional doctor asked me to write, which is, okay, now I live this way. No one's living this way with me. So what do I do? What do I do about bugs since I don't want to spray poison? How do I find my food at farmers markets? There's a whole index you can go to and find every farmer market in your area. What's in season and why is that important? All of that stuff is in the second book, plus what to do about your kids. I can't tell you how many mothers tell me kids won't eat good food. Well, they will if you do, because kids are little mimics and they will do whatever you do. So I have a whole thing on how to get your children to eat healthy food and how to create little superheroes that will go to school and defy other students. And I mean, I had one mother call me and say her son got Pop Rocks at a party and he brought the package open and said, "I have a feeling I'm not supposed to eat these." So,
It
and
might have
they
been right.
know even when they're 3 years old, they're looking at labels and taking their fingers down them because they're mimicking their mother do that at the grocery store. And then there's a whole section in the second book on raising healthy pets. I had 3 cats that always my cats lived over 20, but these 3 died at 16, 17, and 18 because they were living in a toxic soup too, and food had changed so much. Pet food had become disgusting. And so I wasn't gonna I now have 2 incredibly healthy kitties because all the toxins are cleaned up in here and they're eating high quality food. So, I've covered as much of it as I can so
Mm.
that you don't have to start at 0 to learn everything that I have learned. And
Well, that is spectacular on so many different levels, Cheryl. And I can't wait for us to have more conversations. I think we just need to pick one or two topics and work through your own life now is impacting others, and you've brought the information and research to so many as a result of that. I thank you for our time together, and anything else you'd like to say?
my website is a good place to start, which is Cheryl, like Mary, Health, Health, Muse, Muse, because I want to inspire you to change and own your own life.com. If you go to my website, it will lead you to a series of free ebooks as flip books on issue, as well as to all the information that's actually on my website. And it will lead you to my Facebook page where I am very active and I recommend you follow me there. And I cover everything from frequency to lifestyle habits. And I share my gurus when they post something that I have learned from that's important. So all of that you can find by going to my website. So that's a good start.
Great resource for sure. And I will use it, and I'm sure others will as well. So, Cheryl, thank you so much for your time today. And I hope to do this again very soon.
Thank you. I love doing it. I appreciate the time.
I can tell, I can hear your passion. Well, thank you so much. We'll talk again.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye bye.